I am unashamed. What about you?
So welcome back to Unashamed. It's Jase. I'm calling this the Rollout Family Week because we have had different family members.
Have we figured out if Zach is he still alive?
We don't know. There's no proof of life.
We're all just trying to fill his shoes.
That's exactly right. So
fill his place.
We have Alex, my youngest daughter, on today. Welcome, Alex, to Unashamed.
Hello, everyone.
It's interesting. You've been on once, and
have you?
Yeah.
But
you weren't there.
The reason you don't know is you weren't there. It was
that?
Mom. Who else? You
and my mom.
Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa.
And me. It was out. I was outnumbered.
And actually,
unashamed outnumbered.
Lisa was going to join us today.
Lisa was going to join us today. She has come down with a terrible upper respiratory illness for the last 5 days, and it started. We were catching up on a TV series, and from when we started to when we ended one night, it's like we watched 3 or 4 episodes. She went from speaking normal to sounding like she was a deep bass to completely losing her voice in 4 hours. It was terrible. So she's struggling with that.
Yeah,
so
she was a squeaky mouse earlier this week.
Yeah. So this morning she was getting better yesterday. She went and got a couple of shots, but then today she woke up worse, still coughing and terrible. So I said, Maddie's got enough work trying to deal with mine and Jase's frogs.
Yep, batter up.
Yeah.
Well, it's so shocking because it's almost duck season, and we're literally setting record temperatures for
80s.
heat. Yeah, we're in the high 80s.
I pulled in the parking lot this morning. We briefly mentioned it in the last podcast with Philip and Cy. But I pull in the parking lot and I start chuckling because Jase had just pulled in. Did you notice it when you pulled in today?
I guess not.
You were probably here before us. And Jase has some willow trees branches.
Oh, I did notice that, yeah.
And they're literally...
How could you not? I was going to say, if you did not notice that.
So I just chuckled. I thought, well, 'tis the season. I mean, it's...
I turned my truck into an 18-wheeler. It's actually cane, which I have a little place pretty close to my house where this cane grows. And it's what I do with it is, and you're going hunting with us, right?
I am, opening day.
Despite your schedule this week.
It's crazy for me to go, and I will say for about 2 minutes yesterday I thought, should I just not go and work on my sermon? But I said, nope, I've made a commitment. I'm going opening day to honor Dad because this will be the first opening day. He hasn't been a duck blind in 60-something years. So I'm going to be there for my dad. So.
Well, and it'll also be good because you're in a lot better shape than you were last year.
Oh, well,
it will not be nearly as painful as it would have been last year.
It got bad. Hunting is you got to be in decent shape to hunt because it's physically.
That's why I'm in shape.
Yeah.
So now I'll be intrigued to whether I see, because me and Jay have a side bet on how many brothers will actually participate.
Because I extended an invitation to Jeff and Willie. I was like, y'all need to come too, and let's just have all the brothers honor Dad.
Yeah, and we're
but
going to
they
do
never
it.
responded. So
But Jay and I, we were.
I'm gonna be there.
We chuckled though. It's because we said there's one thing to be there and hunt. It's another thing, since now that we're going to fill up the blind.
Yeah.
Somebody's
got to actually shoot some ducks.
No, somebody has to put the decoys out, put the brush out. And Jay was like, none of them are going to participate, which is why I have the load of brush. So we're going to go do that.
Yeah, because a lot of setup work for opening day, especially.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And the backstory on it was Phil's last day to hunt was actually opening day of last year, which he didn't participate much because he didn't feel well, and it was our best day of the year.
Yeah, I know.
Which
was weird. I guess it was almost like the Almighty knew this was the parting way for Dad.
And the way the hunt went it did seem.
Well, my expectation, and maybe it's just from years of hunting in the past, Jase, is that in this 80-degree weather, we're not going to do anything. But
no. Well, we don't have any water this year.
The temperatures are high.
You'll have some good conversations.
That's
some good wisdom.
We'll bring your sermon.
I will.
We may do that. I'll bring. And I said we probably ought to eat because you got Willie there. It's hard to keep Willie in one spot over an hour.
He is extreme ADD. I say this all across the fruited plains when I tell the story about our personalities and our family, because Willie has a hard time sitting still for anything. He's just always been antsy. It's just the way.
I think that's why podcasting wasn't for him.
That's exactly
ultimately.
Right. Yeah, he just couldn't sit for that long period of time.
Yeah.
And he was the first one that did a podcast. He did one way back, like on Fox News years ago.
Yeah,
For
long time
years, I would see him when we all met together at WFR. It would be usually about 30 minutes in,
Yeah.
and I'd lean over to Missy and I'd say, "There he goes."
He's gone.
You'd see him get up. And she's like, "Why does he do that every week?" I was like, "Because he can't sit in one spot
That's right. For more than 20 minutes.
He just can't do it. There's something he has to create something.
Yeah.
So
Even when he goes into an event, like I noticed, because we did an event with him, well, I guess a couple of years ago. It was Mom and Dad's last event, actually. And we were in Vegas. And like, so we're back in the green room. We're there like 2 hours early because, waiting. And he's up, he's out, he's back. He goes and sees people in the other green rooms and he's back. I mean, he was never in there for more than 10 minutes straight.
Well, and
for
I
2
notice
hours.
he always sits on the end of the row, too.
Always. Yeah.
Well,
Because
I
he
have
knows
that.
he's going to be getting
I
up
do
and going.
like that too.
I have that problem too.
I want to give a mention to Family Research Council. We've been mentioning these guys. And Jase, I thought it was interesting because in the copy here, which you probably wrote, says that they won't back down. And this goes back to your Tom Petty song. So it's kind of funny. Even FRC is like, we get the Tom Petty.
You're welcome. I got it from Tom Petty.
So they don't back down. They're out there. And look, when you look and see what's kind of going on the front lines and kind of the political structure of our country, it's a fight. It's a fight for faith, family, freedom. These guys meet with lawmakers, shape policy. They keep God's truth in the conversation. That's probably the best thing that they do. And Tony Perkins has been one of our close friends for many years. And so they're saying, look, don't sit this out. It's time to act and join alongside these guys. So visit frc.org/unashamed. Let's help keep faith alive in America.
Well, y'all have breaking news, which is why Alex is here. So
Yep.
I guess I'm the moderator for this.
We kind of been waiting for everything to come together, but it's beginning to look like that we're definitely going to do a movie about Lisa and I, our story. And it's kind of funny because I really, Lisa is kind of more the central role. So it's almost like it's her story, but obviously it's mine because it's part,
Right.
I mean, would that be how you describe
Yeah,
it?
she's kind of the main character. But it does go, it's a pretty deep dive into both of y'all's stories. And there's just so much there. I mean, this is like a over 25 year time period that we're trying to fit into an hour and a half. So it's been a challenge.
Alex's role, Alex works for Tread Live. Some of you may not know this because I don't know that the last time we had you on, you wouldn't have worked for them probably, right?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't here.
So Zach has hired Alex, and she does a lot of our copy for things we do, ads and different things, and headlines and banners and stuff like that. But now her role is expanding within the company, and so she has taken on one of the leads on this project to kind of be the liaison between us and the writers and everything that goes on in making a movie.
Part of the scripting team.
Yeah, which has been great because, I mean, to get to work with your kids, we had Brighton and Missy on, and of course, Jase, you talked about it, being able to, Brighton kind of becoming a follower of the podcast, and now what that has opened up for discussions to have. And I have to say, the first time we had a Zoom meeting with one of the writers of the movie for the script, and look, we're going back. I mean, we're telling it everything, and so, I mean, I always say,
all the
Jase,
dirty laundry is going to be
they don't
aired.
make it. It's the same thing I told Dad about The Blind. They don't make a movie about you unless you've done something really bad or really good,
or both.
Or in our case, it was both. But that first discussion, when you have your youngest daughter there, and we were talking about some of the rougher times of your marriage and getting into some details you hadn't thought about in 25 years. It was a little awkward for me because I was like, but Alex was great. She was like, "No, Dad, it's okay. I've heard the story." Like
You have to compartmentalize it. Sorry, a little bit.
Yeah,
just to be like,
Well, that
okay.
was-
Especially once we get to the intimate.
yeah,
the
some of the
intimate scenes.
rougher parts of our story.
Yeah, that was so weird about The Blind was I think they were like in the process of making the movie. And Zach, we were just having a conversation. And I said, well, I wonder if you're going to tell that story. And I told him the story about when I went and visited Phil when
Right.
he was running from the law. And he's like, I hadn't heard this. He's like, we got to get that in.
And
I
it
was
made
like,
it in the movie.
It actually
Yeah.
made it in, or a version of it.
Yeah.
But
And it was a powerful scene, too.
Very powerful.
It was.
Because
Yeah.
it showed you really the in that moment, it showed you sort of the depth of where Dad's depravity had taken him in that moment.
Yeah.
And so
I have a couple stories probably of Al that have not been revealed that probably should be in this movie. So
Well,
if
you need
wanna
to tell
talk
me
about
later.
we'll talk after.
Tell Alice, because now's the time. I think we have the second version of the script now completed. You know, it takes several times to process through this.
Yeah, the process is.
And by the way, just so the audience knows, so I'm just going to be totally transparent. There's not much money involved in this. It's just the reason we're doing this is because you say, oh, they're the Robertsons. They're making all these movies and all this stuff. We're doing it for the same reason that Mom and Dad did it. If this helps reach some people because of telling the story in a new artistic place where people can watch it. Because a lot of people, like the movie impacted people that other things hadn't with Mom and Dad's movie. And that's what we hope for. And the one thing that I really asked for out of all this, more than anything else, I said, I want to have access to that we can do clips from the movie, because to have something professionally done by production, and then what Lisa and I do in marriage settings and all that, if I can show clips that are actually real actors that are playing us, that are dramatically producing some of these things, that's going to be a great thing to help people.
It brings it home a little bit to more people, and people are really looking for that entertainment these days. There's so much out there that is, not good. You wouldn't want your kids to be in the room when it was on, and there are some rough parts going to be in this movie, but it's all true, and it's all serving a greater purpose of, we turned it around, or God turned it around for us.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of the whole narrative, even though, and I realize it might be awkward at times, especially for Mom.
So every business is asking the same question, which is, how do we make AI work for us? So the possibilities seem to be endless, and guessing is just too risky. But sitting on the sidelines is not an option, because one thing is almost certain: your competitors are already making their move. So with NetSuite by Oracle, you can put AI to work today. NetSuite is the #1 AI cloud ERP trusted by over 43,000 businesses.
Full transparency, Zach, I've owned Oracle shares in my portfolio for years.
Well, this product from Oracle, it's a unified suite that brings financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM all into one source of truth. Having all that connected data makes your AI smarter, so it can intelligently automate routine tasks and deliver actionable insights, and also help you cut costs along the way. It's not just another bolt-on tool. Its AI is actually built into the system that runs your business. So whether you're a company that's earning millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you stay ahead of the pack.
Zach, back in the old days, we didn't have anything like this, like NetSuite, around when we were starting Duck Commander. But just think about how much easier our business would have been had we had something like this.
So right now, get our free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/unashamed. The guide is free to you at netsuite.com/unashamed. That's netsuite.com/unashamed.
She is getting back into, because we're diving deep into all those memories and motivations and emotions. And so going back into that frame of mind where she was suffering so much and in so much pain and so much confusion and all that. And she wants to tell the story, but she's been a little bit clinical about it, to be honest, just because it's not a place that anyone wants to spend a lot of time mentally, is things that she's gone through. So.
And it's sort of like what Dad always did. He would let you know every time he talked that he was, a worthless reprobate. However he would frame that, but he framed it in basically 3 sentences. 3 sentences covered 10 years. Well, there were a lot of specifics in there that were really, really bad, and so we went back and did the movie. And you saw it, and it was hard for Dad, wouldn't you say, Jase? It was hard for him to watch.
He was really embarrassed,
Yeah.
and he just shed tears. And
it was hard for him.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, it's kind of ironic, because I had a long conversation with Dad about the movie and his trepidation about doing it, and now I had to listen to my own words, because now I'm in the same position. It's not fun to go back and have to portray those things as reality, but they really happen. So we're taking like some sentences that we use in a presentation, and now we're doing it as the real life.
And now it's being acted out into a whole scene. And it's been, I kind of knew the story, of course. It's part of my life. I was there. But I was was little. I mean, I was less than 10 years old whenever.
We think it was about 9 and 11 for you and Anna, something
Right.
like that.
So whenever the whole affair was happening and it was coming to light and there was a potential that you and Mom would not be together anymore, of course, I remember feeling that there was something weird going on, but not knowing what it was.
Because we had shielded you guys from as much of it as we could.
Right. So going back and hearing all the like ins and outs now and all the stories, and there was a scene that we talked about that I'm not sure if it's in your book or not, but you had a suspicion about what was going on, and so you were going to confront this person. And I don't want to give the whole movie away, but it didn't work out the way that you thought it would. And that was something I'd never heard before.
Yeah, that was one of those stories that I had never really told before either.
Right.
I don't think it's in the book either.
Right. So there's going to be some new ground broken with some of those stories. But it's just crazy to all these things that I've just known for decades. And now it's like, all right, let's get into the nitty gritty.
Well, one of the things that impacted me, Rube, we call Alex Ruby. So if I call her Rube, that's what that means. Was when we went to South Africa, and we talked about this on the last podcast, actually. We're talking about a song. But we went there, and you went with us. And by this time, you were about 16, maybe, and when we went to South Africa?
I was 18.
18. Mm-hmm. So she went with us to South Africa. And, by this time, Lisa and I have been telling our story and all this. But again, not necessarily in front of our kids because they're not going with us to events and stuff. They're in, high school. Well, she went with us, and so the first time she hears Lisa get up and just share the whole story to this group of women in South Africa, she's just broken down. You were crying. Do you remember this?
I remember it, yeah. But what shocked me was I did not know about her sexual abuse as a child.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that bit of it.
Right.
So.
And so, all of a sudden, Alex at 18, so it had been 9 years earlier when we went through all this stuff and upheaval. But now she's hearing some details there she'd never heard before, and healing now, because healing had happened in Lisa's life. But it was so upsetting. And so Lisa and I, it was a shocker to us because you feel like your kids kind of get it. But then we got to thinking about it. We're like, well, how would they even know all this information? We were shielding you guys to try to protect you. But now we're out here telling the story, and it was like, well, we probably should.
And I'm like, what?
That was the good thing about in Phil and Kay's story. They just laid it all out there,
Right.
So you felt like nothing was a surprise, which was probably the better approach.
Well, the one good thing about Mom, you could say this, because Dad would always just give you 2 sentences, but then Mom would give a lot of detail.
Well, yeah.
She was would throw
She
him
was
under
ready
the bus.
she was ready to exercise those demons.
She would lay it out there.
But they kind of had a way about doing that was disarming to the whole thing. It's like, well, look, God's made us what we are today.
Well, and that's exactly what we do, Jase, because when Lisa and I share together now, I do a little opening thing, and I get us to this point where Lisa's going to take over, and then her stuff is really powerful. And then I always say, well, obviously this turns out well because we're here tonight. But I'm going to let her take over.
You can guess at the ending.
Exactly. So, it's exactly what it is. Jesus wins in the end, and he certainly has for us, and 25 years later, we're helping people. So that's the purpose of the movie. That's why we're doing it. And so,
do we have a target date on this? Or?
we're thinking it'll be around Easter next year.
They
So
do
not
these pretty
too
quick,
far away.
Yeah. So
wow.
if it all takes off, we would this would be filmed early next year and then released pretty quickly after. They're hoping to target by Easter. So.
And you don't have a name yet?
No.
Not one that we can share.
No,
not yet.
We're kind of waiting to see about that. You're dealing with other people and, all these different things you have to go through for that kind of thing. But it's true. It's real. It'll, you have to be cinematic. And so you have to realize that going into a movie when you retell a story. So,
right.
Well,
and Jase, you and Missy will be played.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Willie and Corey and Jeb. Everybody's going to be there.
Yeah.
You actually have more lines than any Robertson except Dad, I think. Yeah, there's several times where we get in.
You will be.
Well, it's shocking because I really don't say a whole lot in life.
Well, we really are. Your character kind of leans into that, which you admit to openly about being a little bit judgmental
Oh,
in
yeah.
your
the
earlier
older brother,
years.
younger
Well,
brother.
that's
who was
why
Yeah,
I
being the
wanted to
tattletale.
share a couple of these stories on what caused that, what contributed to that.
And we've been very open on the podcast about that. Well, you know we have.
Yeah.
So it because Jase and I always had a complex relationship, and it was my fault because I was terrible. But I mean, I totally take the blame for it. So
Yeah.
I'm not blaming Jase but we became very close after God worked that out, because then we wound up going to school together and worked
I
out.
told Missy, I was explaining our relationship one night pretty recently, and I was like, "This is always weird," because I was like, Al was the problem because he would just lie.
Oh.
I would go.
I was a complete double agent.
Tell my parents whatever he was doing, and then not only would he lie about it, he would get his friends then to abuse me. I mean, physically
Yeah.
abuse me, and it just infuriated me. So I do think that contributed to me being kind of mean about that later
Right.
on, because I was just like, this guy, because you break that trust and all. But
It
in a
took a
way, I
while.
was trying to also protect him, and so
Because it was your brother.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so-
Well,
Exactly.
and there is a really nice, I'm not going to say what it is, but there is a really nice arc to the relationship between you guys that forms throughout the
And
movie
I'll
as well.
say I'll say this, and if we need to cut it, we can, Ruby. But we're hoping the final scene. We're hoping that it might be us and our actual grandkids,
Ourselves, yeah.
ourselves being able to show that this is where God has brought us. So
yeah.
we're hoping we have that.
Now, I
same.
kind of assumed that. at
Well,
the
it's
end.
tough.
And
you
it helps
never
with
know.
budgetary restrictions
Right.
as well.
Then you don't have to have somebody playing us at this age. But we just thought it would be great, and Lisa really wants to do it as well, if we can actually have our actual family. It's kind of like the scene, which was actually Jase's idea at the end of The Blind, where Dad gets to come in and speak as himself.
Oh yeah.
That's very powerful at the end.
I mean,
So-
I'm not brag. I think that was a Holy Spirit.
Oh, it was so
decision.
powerful.
I watched the movie. Zach, is sitting there waiting on the phone for me because he
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, will you help me promote the movie?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna have to watch it."
If it's good.
Yeah. And he started laughing. He was like, "Oh, I guess I see your point." I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, if it's
What
no
if it's
good,
awful?
I'm not promoting this." But when I watched it, he was like sending me texts. Have you watched it yet? It's like it's longer than you knew it was longer than the allotted time that I've had to watch it. But that was my only critique. I was like, I don't think our dad will like this if you don't actually have a part where he shares
yeah.
what he heard
Yeah.
in his own words.
Yeah.
So get him to do that as like bonus footage.
And I have to say that just from a cinematic point of view, watching movies, don't you love it when it's a movie about real people, when they at the end they'll show actual pictures of those real people? I
right.
mean,
that's why they do it.
Exactly.
Real updates, for
And
sure.
I will watch that every time.
Me too.
On a movie.
Because I'm curious then. It's like, oh, that's the real person. That's the real family. That's
Well,
the
and
real
I have to be very complimentary of you and Mom because, going back through all these memories and situations in such detail, I mean, I know it was hard. I could certainly see it for Mom, but just I know that if someone, and this is obviously, I guess, the growth that you've had over the years, but if someone came to me now and said, "Hey, we're going to make a movie about the most tumultuous years of your life," I'd be like,
Exactly.
"No, I don't think so.
which
We're
was-
good."
It's that passage in John 3, which it keeps coming up podcast to podcast, when it's talking about people won't come into the light for fear their deeds will be exposed.
Yeah.
But it's the last few verses of that paragraph. What is that? John 3, like 20 and 21 in
Yeah.
there. But it's like, but those who live in the light show that what has happened in their life has happened.
Which is so
To the
funny.
power of
It's so
God.
funny you brought that up, because we're going to get there hopefully at some point this podcast or next, because Nicodemus, Jesus makes that statement when he just had the conversation with Nicodemus, and then when Jesus is buried later, guess who's there in the light?
Oh,
now?
exactly.
Which is very, very
And
powerful.
it's that passage it's just everybody should have that on the speed dial.
I love it.
Because you can't follow Jesus and not be vulnerable about your life.
That's right.
And
Well, and how many times have you heard a story that has changed how you view your own life or what's happened to you, or opened a doorway that you didn't know was there because you heard something from someone else and it's like, wow, I didn't know that they went through that, or wow, I went through that and now I can see further down the road to what I could be in the future.
I mean, exactly. Look at Peter and Paul. I mean, Peter the most embarrassing thing you could ever do. Deny Jesus 3 times after you said you wouldn't.
Right.
And you're like, I'll give my life for you. No, you won't.
Yeah.
And then all that happens, and look at Paul. I mean, can't be any worse than that. He's killing Christians.
Murderer.
But there it is, just all out there for generations to come.
And to be honest, that's why it's so great to work with you, Alex, on the project, is because nobody has seen more than you and your sister the growth of both of us, but especially your mom, in that life change and what and both of you look up to her so much. And that means a lot to her. She's got a little segment she does in her speech about how people, when she looks at how other people view her, she can see herself through the lens of Christ. And she mentions you guys and the grandkids. And it's just a very powerful, it makes me cry every time she does it in front of an audience.
Well, and she and I had some hard years in our relationship as well whenever I was young and I was, living my prodigal life.
Yeah, you went through some prodigal.
And, doing a lot of things that I had no business doing that she had already warned me against. And I was like, no, I got this, Mom.
Yeah, right.
So there were several years that were hard. So, and actually, I think what you mentioned in South Africa, that was kind of starting to be the turning point there, was where I saw her as less of an adversary and more as someone who could help me.
Yeah.
A mentor
Turn
or
into an advocate.
Right.
It's funny because you told us when you left and moved to Baton Rouge, you said you'd never come back to West Monroe. And, you'd spent your time there. And then, of course, you got married and had a kid, and you're like, I think I want to come home.
Mom and Dad?
I think I'm heading home, which is a blessing for us. So thank you, Ruby, for coming home.
They're not backing down, and you're not backing down from all the ugliness in your story. So,
there you go.
Yeah,
We're standing up.
I'm not backing down around here.
I love it. All right, let's take a break. We'll see you on the other side.
So if you're a last-minute shopper, you know how it goes. The shelves, they get picked clean, and you're out of ideas. Well, that's why Aura Frames is such a lifesaver, because it's a gift that actually feels personal. Jase, I believe that Missy bought a few of these.
She did. We have kids all over the U.S., and this is a great way and a great gift for them to connect.
So one of the things I love about mine, Zach, down at the Southern Layer, is that Alex will upload pictures and they just pop up. And then I look up and there's new pictures, which is really, really neat.
So you can use the Aura app to add unlimited photos and videos to a digital frame, and there's no memory cards or any monthly subscriptions needed. So if you're giving it as a gift, you can preload the frame with all your favorite memories and even include a personal message so it feels extra thoughtful when they turn it on. So throughout the year, you can actually keep sending your photos and videos straight from your phone to the frame, to the person that you give the gift to, a grandparent or a parent. Plus, it comes with a really nice gift box with no price tag, so it's ready to pop under the tree. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, using our promo code UNASHAMED at checkout. That's AURA frames.com. Use promo code UNASHAMED. This deal is exclusive to our listeners, and frames will sell out fast, so order yours now and get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Unashamed. It was great. It's always great to have your kids on, and both of us did this week. Jase, I meant to say this in front of Alex, but I forgot. But I had to repent last night for being a hypocrite, because when Missy was on the podcast earlier this week, we were talking about the holidays, and I lamented that we skip over Thanksgiving by going straight from Halloween to Christmas, with this. And Missy and I were kind of talking about this.
Oh, not in my house.
I know. That's what, and because she had the Thanksgiving show, that's what led me. But so last night, so I was like, yeah, why do people do that? Well, so last night was the night, because some people are coming over to help Anna decorate today for Christmas, which we're a week, as we're recording this, we're a week away from Thanksgiving. So we said we're a week away, and we're decorating our houses for Christmas the next 2 days. So we had to go pull everything out of the attic and all that. Well, what happens is I forget about it because it's work, everybody's trying to, but we all chip in together. The grandkids are out there. But we started doing it, and we're pulling down all this stuff out of the attic and all the decorations and the trees and all that. Well, I'm getting all up in the spirit of Christmas. I'm singing Christmas songs. And I go in, and Alex told me that Larry Fleet who we had on the podcast, remember a while back, has redone the song that Ray Charles sings on Christmas Vacation. You know, that one he sings when Chevy Chase is up in the attic watching it. It's
been a while since I've
It's
seen
a
that.
really cool song. It's one of my favorite Christmas songs, and Ray Charles is so good. But I must say, and Larry listens to the podcast, I hope you're listening to this, Larry, you knocked it out of the park. Like, I didn't realize Larry had such a soulful, rhythm and blues sound, you know? And so we listened to it last night when we were like taking some of the Christmas stuff down. And then we started listening to a lot of his other stuff because I had heard some of his other songs. But so Larry, you were part of our Christmas. If you're listening, you were part of our Christmas. And he has done that song amazing. So check it out if you hadn't already done it, because I think he just released it like the last couple of months. But it's one of the better Christmas songs.
So what was your repentance over?
Well, my repentance is because I was griping about other people getting into Christmas too early. And then here I was doing it. Totally last night.
It was kind of a sarcastic repentance.
It was a sarcastic repent. I didn't really truly repent because I didn't do anything wrong. But I will say I get it why you get into the Christmas spirit even a week away from
No, I
Christmas.
tell you, my wife, she is just really taken a hold of tradition and passing the legacy on from not only her parents but our parents, and because now she does the sweet potato pies in the spirit of my grandma.
Oh, yeah.
And she does them
And she
spectacularly.
said, I don't know if she said this on air Monday, but she said her goal now is to do a different dish every year.
Yeah, you know what she's doing this year? The chocolate pie.
Oh, really?
She's tackling that, which my mom's chocolate pie.
But she's going to keep the crawfish pie going for Christmas, though, right? Because that's only okay. Good.
She's going to learn she's going to try to learn. She tried it once, and it was an epic fail. I mean, those recipes, because my family...
I failed on the duck and dressing last year. It just didn't
My
come
family, they don't get into the details. It's a pinch of that, and you'll know. Like my dad used to say, "Oh, hey, you can look at it and tell." No, I can't, Phil. I want to know exactly what I need to put.
Or
in
he'll
it.
say, because I've watched the videos. There's videos of Dad out here doing duck and dressing. And he'll say, "Now you hit this a lick, but not too much, just a lick." And I'm like, "Dad, what is a lick? How does that even?"
And not too much. So, but it's all good fun.
No, it is.
So.
And it's the spirit of what we do. So
we had actually Thanksgiving Day, a week before Thanksgiving for a little man.
Well, I actually heard it. I was going to ask you about that because I heard there was a Jase sighting at the little school where a lot of our kids. My youngest Sage goes there, so they saw you there.
I saw BK and other people, and no, it was wonderful.
And then the little Luis, who works here for us, their little son is in AK's class. But now, so I saw the video, and little Luis, who is like half Dominican because his dad is a Dominican. He was doing some serious dancing.
Yeah,
now, little man was more like just kind of little. Yeah. He was kind of doing hits, He was just keeping.
Well, look at my dance. That's basically what it is. I was doing the Trump before Trump made that a dance. Exactly. That is my dance. Yeah. But I thought, oh well, I'll give him credit for it. So it was fun. It was all about being thankful. And when I think about being thankful, anyway, I mean that Romans 1, which is a very brutal chapter in the Bible. It starts off saying kind of the decline of human nature, and it brings up that being thankful. It says, "For although they neither," this is Romans 1. Got to get my glasses on. Romans 1, there it is, 21. "For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him." And that's the foundation for where it all goes wrong. Yeah. Your thinking becomes futile and your heart becomes darkened. So,
but don't you think it's interesting that our early sort of founders and leaders of our nation thought it was important to have a day to recognize just the gratitude we should have as a people? I mean, no matter what, you go back and study the history of it, and it supposedly goes back to like the early settlers and some of the Native Americans that were here joining together for a celebration of gratitude that they could be together. Now, obviously, there were wars fought. A lot has happened since then. But at the same time, I love the concept that we should always find a time to be grateful and to be
I mean,
thankful.
look, I think one of the hardest things to do, get your kids to be and do when they're young coming up, is being thankful.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that is it's a foundational.
Which, by the
principle.
way, Larry Fleet, it just hit me because he has a song called "Things I Took for Granted."
Oh yeah.
It's another great song because it's the idea that it's easy for us to take for granted things that we just assume have always been there instead of just stopping and saying, you know what, man, I got a lot to be thankful for.
Well, I mean, we tend to make fun of people whose faith is so deep and impressive that even when bad things happen, they're like, "Well, I'm thankful for this because now God is going to give me an opportunity here."
Right,
I mean,
right.
but that is the mindset that the Holy Spirit is conveying.
Isn't
And-
that the first thing that James hits in the book of James? I mean, count it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds. I mean,
But then human beings say, yeah, but he didn't actually mean that. Oh, yeah, that's what he meant.
He did.
But it's just so hard to wrap your head around. And I think where we're at in John 19, you're saying this. I mean, Jesus is doing this on purpose, which it's a verse that I bring up when he predicted it, when he said, no one is going to take my life.
Yeah.
Was that John 10?
yeah,
I lay it down freely.
right.
I give it. And I think he's purposefully doing that, as this is intentional.
Yeah.
I can't stand it where these kind of the denominational world sometimes comes up with this doctrine on like why he had to do it. He did it willingly.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what love is all about.
So the holidays are here, and it's a time of eating as much as anything. I don't know. I mean, people love to eat at Thanksgiving. It's a big deal.
That's a good tradition.
Christmas treats, those are there. And so a lot of times folks go into the holidays, of course, you're trying to not gain some weight, or maybe you started a diet. I had tried last year right before the holidays to lose some weight, and it was kind of an epic fail. But once the new year started, I did get PhD weight loss involved in my life, and it's been a blessing. I've lost about 73 pounds to this point. If you're looking at this on YouTube, here's a picture of me at the beginning. Here I am now, obviously way less weight, but not only that, feeling better, healthier. I've been on a CPAP machine for about 12 years, and I have been able to get off my CPAP machine because I'm not snoring at night, which is a blessing, not having sleep apnea. I've also cut all my meds down almost completely out, very low on cholesterol and blood pressure. So now's a good time to get a jump start on these holidays. Get going. I know you've been waiting to do it. For December only, they're adding 2 free weeks to your program just to help you get started now, kind of getting ahead of the curve. Mention the code 2 weeks, and they'll waive your consultation fee and even cover the cost of your food. You call PhD Weight Loss today, and you're going to breeze right into 2026 already working on your goals. Call them at 864-644-1900, or you can visit myphdweightloss.com. That's 864-644-1900. Mention the code 2 weeks, or visit myphdweightloss.com. This idea of that he did it within this like family unity structure idea, and you mentioned, was it 140 times?
I could not believe it.
I mean, that's-
I was shocked
Yeah.
that he refers to God as Father 100. I think it was 100. It's depending on translation. It was because somebody had on there 250 times, but I think, I don't know where he was getting that stat, but the actual Greek lexicon, I think, had 139 that I looked.
Including one of the last things he said, Father, Father, that when he cried, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah.
That's one of the last things he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Even in that moment, which is powerful.
And we read that in Psalm 22, and I'd made a point a few podcasts ago that, there's a case to be made that you can find all his sayings in Psalm 22. Even the last line of Psalm 22, when to kind of parallel when he said, "It is finished."
Yeah.
The last verse of Psalm 22 says, this is after the obvious ones, which Psalm 22:1, my God, why have you forsaken me? the 18 where they divided his garments and cast lots for his clothing. But the last verse says, and this is kind of looking at going through the cross, and it says kind of got to back up to get the context, but it says, all the ends of the earth will remember and turn to the Lord. All the families of the nations will bow down, for dominion belongs to the Lord. He rules over the nations. All the rich of the earth will feast and worship. All who go down to dust will kneel before him. Those who cannot keep themselves alive. Posterity will serve him. Future generations will be told about the Lord, which is all true. This all came true.
Yeah.
They will proclaim his righteousness to a people yet unborn. And then there's a dash, for he has done it.
Yeah. That's good. It is finished.
He's done it. He has reconciled.
Yeah.
You know what I found interesting now? I don't know. This just kind of hit me last night. There's so many words in the New Testament and the Old Testament for that matter, but that start with R-E. Like, again, like just think about them. Redemption, what Jesus, when he said it is finished, redemption, reconciliation, repentance, renewal. It's just filled with this on what we once were and what now, through Jesus doing this, what
Remembrance
we become.
is another one. Remember?
Well, I in the moment, I thought of a dozen probably, but just off the top of my head, I thought, somebody needs to do a lesson on that.
That's pretty good.
Re. We're bringing. He's brought forth. That's why I'm ultimately. I think when he said, "It is finished," I think it mirrors when God in the first creation, His Father, created the earth in 6 days.
I have that right here, and N.T. Wright makes a big point of that it's a callback to creation and the new creation.
Yeah,
Genesis 1 to John 1.
Because look, we've gone through John 19, and we keep revisiting it, looking at the big picture. But this first verse in chapter 20 is very profound.
Yeah,
and it seems subtle. It says, early on the first day of the week. Now, do you think he's writing that just coincidentally? This is right after the burial. He's fixing to discuss. My little heading on chapter 20 says, the empty tomb.
Yeah.
On the first day of the week.
Right.
Right after he said it's finished.
Yeah.
That connection is real.
Right. And the body, remember we said was it Deuteronomy 21, a body that was hung on a tree had to be taken off before the Sabbath because of this old idea about curse. So again, it puts it right in that window you were talking about across that 3-day span, which was the hour before and hour after. I mean, it all leads to this moment of renewal on the first day of the week.
It's not only is it the first day of the week, not only is it signifying a new week, this is a new creation because he's fixing to describe a man claiming to be God being resurrected from the dead.
Yeah, which is going to happen, which we're going to get into.
Which is why the burial is a paragraph in this section, because this is proof that he was dead.
Well, it's also why John says specifically that he saw him die so that he would be able to witness. Remember he said that?
Well, and then even now you're going back to on the cross, he sees the blood and water come out when the spear.
Yeah, and I want to mention that because we haven't talked much about that. That kind of why that happened. Because again, none of these, everything that happens here, there's a reason behind it. But that's where they were breaking their legs because they're basically rushing the death. That's the idea. Yeah. And so what crucifixion did, you basically asphyxiated. That's how you died. You just got to where you couldn't breathe.
Yeah, it's horrible to talk about.
It's awful
because you're having to push off the nail.
Yeah.
That
to get your
usually
breath.
Combine both feet.
Yeah.
And then, but you're sagging where you can't breathe.
So what they did was they would come along if they were wanting to speed the process up. And again, this is brutal. They take a big old club and they break their legs where they can't push up anymore. And so basically you just asphyxiate. Well, this happened with the two thieves. They broke their legs. But when they come to Jesus, and again, this goes back because there's two texts, Exodus 12:46, Numbers 9:12, where the Passover lamb was to have no bones broken. Mm-hmm. It had to be from their perspective a perfect representation of a lamb. And so that was part of the Old Testament law. With Jesus, again, it's one of those little moments of fulfillment. He's not going to have his legs broken. He's going to be the picture of perfection as our Passover lamb. So they go up to break his legs. What they see, he's already dead. But they got to know for sure because these people are killers. So he takes a spear and he runs it right into his side. Now, he's already been dead, so we know now from, you can read science as to what happens when people dies. So your body begins to break down, and so you have these fluids and all this stuff that begins to happen. So they pierce in his side where it's mostly water that flows out because that's what happens when you die. Your blood quits pumping, and so it's just stuck there in your veins, But it's not like, you pierce a live person, you're going to bleed. But he's a dead person. He's already dead. And again, this is proving that he's going to come back to life. That's why all this is happening. So we'll know this. But he pierces it, and so you see this idea of water and blood. But I did a little look on that, Jase. I looked back just in the book of John. So you got John 2, where he turned water into wine. You got John 3, where he talks to Nicodemus about water and the Spirit. You got John 4, where he talks to the woman at the well about a living water that flows out. You got John 5 and 6 where he talks about his body and also his blood being the life force for people to live. Remember when he fed the 5,000? And then in John 13, you've got the washing of feet and him talking about the Passover being the Passover lamb for blood. Well, it's been all through the text.
So some people are really difficult to shop for when it comes to Christmas time and gifts. I'm one of those people, but I'm telling you, that's why I love Cozy Earth, because somebody got me that Cozy Earth blanket. I got the same blanket you got right there, Jase, that you got on right there.
Zach, it's way better than your 4-inch thick jacket that you wear.
Well, I fight for it, and I just got back from a trip, and somebody hid it under my bed. So I was like searching the house frantically. What you have right there is called the Bubble Cuddle Blanket. It is absolutely incredible. It's one of the softest blankets I've ever had. We all have Cozy Earth bamboo sheets and pajamas, which we all love.
Yeah, Zach, we love the sheets and the pajamas. The bamboo sheets are awesome, but I love the pajamas. It's my favorite thing that Cozy Earth does.
So it doesn't matter what it is. They're sheets, they're pajamas, blankets. They're all incredibly soft, and Cozy Earth makes every day feel like a special occasion. And with a 10-year warranty and a 100-night trial, you can't go wrong. But there's no way you'll want to return these. So give the gift this season of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays. This week only, from Thanksgiving Day through Cyber Monday, get 40% off at CozyEarth.com and use the code UNASHAMED. It's the best deal of the year. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the Unashamed podcast. That's CozyEarth.com and use code UNASHAMED. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth.
And remember, he also had that conversation with the mom about who's going to sit on the right and the left, which I think he was more given the picture of there were going to be two thieves sitting on the right and the left. Right. But then he makes that statement about, can you drink the cup, which would represent the blood, which goes back to the Lord's Supper, or be baptized with the baptism, which you're baptized in water, that I'm going to be baptized with, which you do that in water. There you have another blood, water, subtle reference.
Yeah.
And then John himself, when he gets to 1 John, and I realize if you look up this, the scholars are all over the place on what this means. And I'm not a scholar, but it just seems like...
The simple answer is usually the right one.
I mean, and I'll read it for you because I do think there's a connection here.
I do too.
Which now you're getting into 1 John. This is same writer, but post what's happened. He recorded...
Like 50 or 60 years later.
So now we're having fellowship with the one who did this in an intimate way and through his Spirit, which is all over the place. And we're going to study this next. So, but I felt like I needed to read this because when he gets to chapter 5, he says, everyone who believes that Jesus is Christ is born of God. And now we're getting back into this conversation with Nicodemus,
Yeah.
born from above, which is a heavenly birth,
Right.
as compared to when you were born in an earthly way. And it's still that same principle that the Father gives life. You have
Yeah.
all that everywhere. And physical fathers on the earth, they in essence give life.
Yeah.
You get with a woman and your wife, and what happens? You give life.
Yeah.
And the woman is on the receiving end of that, which is kind of the relationship of the Father and the Son.
Yeah.
You have this complex community that is known as God, the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit. You have one receiving life, one giving life eternally, which is why you get into that John 17 where he's like, he prays that the love that the Father had for him before the beginning of the creation could be passed on to believers.
Yeah.
I mean, which I know that's complex, but so then in 1 John 5, he says, this is verse 2, we know that we love, this is how we know that we love the children of God, which is this, back to this Father giving life, children would be spawned through this heavenly birth by loving God and carrying out his commands. And he spent this whole book talking about the command ultimately is you love God, he is love, and you love each other. And then it says, for everyone, verse 4, born of God overcomes the world, which gets in back to the John 15. You're going to be in the world, they're going to hate you, but you now are a kingdom within the world.
Yeah.
This is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. I mean, this has happened
Yeah.
in being born of God. Who is it that overcomes the world? Only he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God. So then, watch where he goes from here. This is the one, speaking of Jesus, the Son of God, who came by water and blood, Jesus Christ. So people are like, what does he mean? So most scholars say here, okay, he shed his blood and he was baptized and got the Spirit. Remember that?
Right.
I must do this.
Yeah.
Because when you go into like universal historical references outside of the Bible on what everyone agrees with from a historical viewpoint, they all agree that John the Baptist baptized Jesus and that Pilate handed Jesus over to be crucified, which I found that fascinating.
Yeah.
We hadn't talked about that much, but when you just look at the outside sources from like Josephus and these other Roman
writers,
yeah, they all universally agree because, people who follow Christ can't agree on much.
Right.
So they all take issue with translations and historical documents. But I find that fascinating that that's the two things that everyone agrees on. That happened.
Yeah.
In the way that the Bible describes. So then you have this reference about water and blood, Jesus. So that's what people say, but I do think there's something about, why is that in there about piercing him with the spear and water and blood coming out? And then it says, he did not come by water only, but by water and blood, and it is the Spirit who testifies, because the Spirit is truth. So I think everything we've said here is all true. Whatever the specific meaning here. But then he says, for there are three that testify, the Spirit, the water, and the blood, and the three are in agreement. We accept man's testimony, but God's testimony is greater because it is the testimony of God which he has given about his Son. So then it goes on to say, anyone who believes in the Son of God has this testimony in his heart. Anyone who does not believe, God has made him out to be a liar, because he has not believed the testimony of God has given about his Son. And this is the testimony. So after going through all that and all the signs and all the fulfillment and the water and the blood and the Spirit being involved, it says God has given us eternal life, and this life is in his Son. He who has the Son has life. He who does not have the Son of God does not have life.
So think about it, Jase. So that's written by a young man, and we're assuming based on historical information, he was a very young guy, John, and he wrote those words you just read. And he wrote them quite a bit after it actually happened, but he wrote it as a young man who was sitting there with Jesus' mother, some other women, and he watched the spear go in the side. Mm-hmm. He watched the water and blood flow out. He knew that Jesus was dead. He was the first one there at the tomb with Peter, and he saw that he wasn't there, and then saw him later as a resurrected Lord. And then he saw him leave and promised the Holy Spirit was poured out. We read about in Acts 1 and Acts 2. So this guy saw it all.
Yeah.
And told us the testimony. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's very powerful.
Well, the reason I brought this up and we discussed it is because you said, well, what does all this mean? You realize that this heavenly death that happened, a being that came from heaven who took on flesh, actually brought life through this suffering, through all the evidence that we just read, having the spear.
So good.
And that trickles down to us. Exactly. You're like, if you want to participate in the heavenly death and in Jesus, then the physical death, the result of you having the same spirit that he had, is going to turn out just the same. You're coming back from the dead. Yeah, exactly. And you get to live here now as a new person. I mean, it's awesome.
To one of your renewal through redemption, which is powerful and awesome. Well, we're out of time. We'll see you next time on Unashamed. Thanks for listening to the Unashamed podcast. Help us out by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And don't miss an episode by subscribing on YouTube. And be sure to click the little bell and choose all notifications to watch every episode.